It is October 2nd, and today is our travel day as we're leaving Hvar and are going to Dubrovnik. We can get there in two ways. The first way is to travel to the town of Hvar by bus or on foot and take a ferry to Dubrovnik. The second way is to take a ferry to Split and then take a bus to Dubrovnik. We picked the second way to go through Split. And this is our ferry. We just entered the ferry. This way we would have to repeat some part of our journey, but we will see it from a different perspective, traveling by bus along the coast and not hiking through the ridges above it. Visiting Split again sounds like fun too. And we are off. While thinking about how to make our visit to Dubrovnik more meaningful, I realized that I already know some part of it through the famous fantasy television series Game of Thrones. So I decided to make our visit more fun by including many Game of Thrones filming locations to our list. And here are the last views from the ferry as we have arrived in Split. The ferry is unloading. And here are a few videos that didn't make it to my Split video I posted before. And then we took a bus to Dubrovnik. And we are in Dubrovnik. This is the view from our Airbnb. We are 20 minutes away from the old city. On our way, while passing by the gate of the University of Dubrovnik, we explored its lovely garden full of fun, quirky columns. It is fun to spot something cool, like these dogs or the RIT building on our way to the first Game of Thrones filming location, the Gradats Park. The park was the place of the reception for King Joffrey's royal wedding, and it is where he was poisoned. The fortress in the background was the CGI-enhanced Red Keep, and this fountain had a statue in the middle of it. This park also has a nice overlook over the city historically known as Ragusa. Surprisingly, historians date the city foundation to the 7th century, as there are no records of what came before it. It is known that this area was controlled by the Illyrians in the ancient times, and most likely Ragusa's past followed the history of Starigrad and Hvar, when the Greeks founded a colony there. And if we look at the road the Greeks took to reach Hvar, Dubrovnik was right on their way. From the park, we continue through the little streets, which seems to have their own walls, to St. Lawrence Fortress, now famously known as the Red Keep. Dubrovnik has plenty of walls, as the city was never breached, not even by trickery from Venetians. In the 11th century, to secure control over Dubrovnik, Venetians tried to build their fortress here. But the news leaked, and locals beat them to it. An inscription, "Freedom is not to be sold for all the treasures in the world," can be found above the gate. Today, the fortress serves as a theater. Its inner courtyards were Game of Thrones filming locations. Here, a tournament was staged in celebration of King Joffrey's naming ceremony, and it was here Tyrone famously slapped King Joffrey across the face. From the top, you can see the Minchetta Tower, city walls, Pila Harbor, Fort Bakar, and the West Harbor. And now we are going down to it. The West Harbor served as the Black Water Bay in the movie. On the way down to it by the beautiful stone staircase, we stopped at some curiously looking doors in the cliff. This is where, in the movie, the gold clocks were looking for King Robert Baratheon's bastard children. The harbor pier is also where Sansa was visited by Littlefinger, who offered her a way out. And we continue to the Pila Harbor. Ahead of us is Fort Bakar, built in 1460s during the reconstruction of the city walls to defend the Pila Gate. The fort is one of the most beautiful and at the same time functional fortification. It was used in many seawall shots for King's Landing. This is the Pila Harbor. It is here Lannister said goodbye to Princess Marcella, and it is here Cersei awaited Myrcella's return. From the harbor, we pass under a stone bridge that is part of the Pila Gate. Notice that we are actually standing in the moat that is now dry and hosts a garden. The incredible city walls are looming above us. They are one of the city's most beautiful tourist attractions and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Here I have found the secret entrance, but we are going to use a proper way through the gate. Above the bridge is a statue of city patron Saint Blaise, the doctor. The town has 4 city gates, 2 harbor gates and 2 land gates. Both land gates have wooden drawbridges which were pulled up every evening, locked with the keys delivered to the governor of Ragusa. It was through this gate Jaime Lannister returned to King's Landing after Catelyn Stark released him. And on this staircase, right by the gate, King Joffrey screamed, "Kill him, kill them all." Finally, we're inside the city. Next to the city wall's entrance is St. Xavier Church, built in the 1520s. It survived the earthquake of 1667, while much of the city was destroyed. The large Onofrius fountain lost some of its sculptural elements in this earthquake too. The fountain is a part of an aqueduct and still delivers free drinkable water to the city. And this is the main street of the city, the Stradun. Let's orient ourselves. We saw Minchetta Tower from the fortress, walked by Fort Bakar, crossed through Pila Gate, refilled water from the fountain, and now walking on the main street. And at its other end, The church of the city patron, Saint Blaise the Doctor. The small Onofrius fountain that is a part of Aqueduct 2. The replica of the bell tower built in the 1444. After almost 500 years of enduring earthquakes and being repaired, the original had to be demolished as it started to lean. The entrance to the St. Dominic Street and Harbor Gate. But wait, we're not ready for it just yet. And we're back. Here is a small fountain again. The Sponza Palace that served as a custom office, mint, treasury, and bank, just to name a few. In the middle of the plaza is Orlando's column, with a carving of a knight that today represents the symbol of freedom. And the Ragusians treasured their independence. To protect themselves from tyranny, positions of power, like a governor, were restricted to 1 month's terms. And the rector's palace, built for the governor of Ragusa, is just around the corner. Now it serves as a museum. Built by Onofre as a two-story Gothic structure, the palace was rebuilt many times after an explosion and two major earthquakes. Today, the palace harmonizes Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque. The palace's remarkable courtyard was featured in the Game of Thrones series as the Spice King residence in Quarth. Let's now climb the monumental Jesuit staircase or the steps of the Great Sept of Baylor in King's Landing. It is here Circe started her famous Walk of Shame. Due to the central location, HBO paid a lot of money to shut down restaurant bars and souvenir shops for the filming of this scene. Ironically, this scene almost didn't get filmed due to the objection of the local church authorities. At the top of the staircase is the impressive Jesuit Church of St. Ignatius, that is very similar to the Church of St. Ignatius in Rome, as the members of the order were trying to create their own style. And next to the church, Jesuits built the university. This is the Karin Cathedral. It was built on the site of several former cathedrals. The previous one was built in the 11th century with some of the money donated by the English King Richard the Lionheart. On his return from the Third Crusade, King Richard survived a shipwreck near the island of Lokrum. However, the building was destroyed in the earthquake of 1667. Let's orient ourselves. We walked the Stradum to the bell tower, saw the city patron's church, the second fountain, searched for the rector's palace, Jesuit University, and the cathedral. And now we're ready to see the city harbor, as the wealth of the tiny Republic of Ragusa depended upon trade. But its 4 centuries of independence had to be protected by the walls and skillful manipulation through negotiation and bribes of its hostile neighbors. Ragusa spent substantial chunk of its wealth on one of the strongest set of fortifications in Europe. And here is one example. When in the 16th century the Ottoman Turks danger grew, the city spent 11 years building the Revelin fortress while banning any other construction in the city. As far back as the 14th century, the time of the Black Plague, Ragusians were already practicing quarantine. All new arrivals had to stay in special quarters for 40 days. We are now walking around the St. John's Fortress to appear and a tucked-away swimming area for some rest. And we're back into the city through the second harbor gate. It is time to explore the Saint Dominic Street. Many King's Landing scenes were filmed here, like the market, the murder of the bastard children, and the Walk of Shame. The highlight of the street is the Dominican monastery. Dominicans arrived here in 1225. The monastery looks like a fortress from the outside, as it was part of the city defenses until the time the city walls were finally extended around the monastery. And we're off to the second land gate, Ploche Gate. The gate is connected by a drawbridge and stone bridge over a moat to the freestanding Revelin fortress. The Revelin fortress protects this end of the harbor, while the St. John fortress guards the other. To protect the harbor during a siege, a chain is suspended from both forts to the breakwater. In the Game of Thrones series, Queen Cersei entered the Red Keep at the Ploche Gate after her Walk of Shame. And we left the old city and are now walking along the impressive city walls. Even though the city walls were never breached, the city was conquered once. When in 1806 the Russian fleet besieged the city for a month, the Senate agreed to give the French safe passage to fight the Russians. But after the fight was over, Napoleon simply refused to leave. Before it was our turn to leave this city, we also explored the greater Dubrovnik area.